And the eye means spiritual insight. And then you have the crown of thorns. To me, what that represents, the crown of barbed wires, is the way we are manipulated, and it's kind of like a war on consciousness. So you'll notice that the crown is between the triangle and the eye. So it's kind of like a barrier between my spiritual insight and the divine. And at the end, that crown disappears. So it's like, oh, finally, I have clear spiritual insight. I can see my creator.
In our previous breakdown, we examined the surface layer of iPetGoat 2. But according to its creator, Louis Lefebvre, the entire animation centers around a literal war on human consciousness. The barbed wire crown surrounding the inner vision represents the artificial psychological barriers installed by elite control systems. Today, we decode how these barriers are built and how they collapse.
And certainly that's kind of what the media is. It's always trying to brainwash us, trying to keep us in a certain narrative. You know, don't step out of line. You're a kook, you're a conspiracy theorist. Don't say what you believe. You know, people will think you're crazy or you're, you know, whatever. It's so that's represented in that character there. And obviously the head of his name is Drako, that character, the snake character. And the head in the television, I don't know if you've noticed, but he's got all the symbols of money on his face and on his beard. It's all like dollar bills and stuff like that. And his eyebrows are actually taken from the dollar bill. And so he kind of represents the monetary system or the banking system acting through the media. And the snake, part of him is actually, can mean many things. I've read that the snake can represent technology, can represent obviously medicine. And so he's acting through all these things to keep the little Ludovic character that I called him. I called him Ludovic. And so he's acting through all these things to keep this little character in a sedated state.
Lefebvre reveals that the serpent figure with the television head is named Drako. Notice the subtle details. Draco's eyebrows and facial features are styled after official currency design. Drako embodies the corporate media and financial system working together. Its main purpose is to keep Ludovic in a completely passive and motionless state, away from independent thought.
Obviously a sign of kind of a reference to Tiananmen Square. So she just kind of represents the Asian sphere, I guess, because she's got that tiger on her back. So it's the Asian tiger. And it's just that, I guess it could represent a lot of things. I thought about maybe it represents China, you know, like that repressive regime. Or, you know, she's also got like some nuclear, anti-nuclear symbol on her cheek. So it could have to do, you know, a bit to do with Japan and how that's being repressed, all that terrible radiation seeping out, and they're not allowed to talk about it. You know?
And then who is that comes over to her, that skeleton character? Who is he?
Someone told me that's the character of like voodoo, but personally that's not what I had in mind. It was just death, you know, like she's valiantly trying to combat the system, and yet death creeps up on her, and she has to submit.
The director confirms this scene is a direct homage to Tiananmen Square. The young Asian girl, wearing a tiger jacket and anti-nuclear mark, stands before military tanks with a white flag. But Lefebvre highlights a dark truth. Political or physical resistance alone cannot dismantle the system without an inner spiritual transformation.
The little girl is holding this apple, and it represents all these kind of inward divisions that are cultivated in us to always to keep us in our place, so that we are always feeling shame or inadequacies or guilt. And it's a symbol of sin, obviously. So we're always feeling this guilt, and so we're stuck, and we're stuck in like the little children behind her, we're held down by barbed wire, and they're apathetic. So that's what the apple represents to me. And then she just kind of drops it because she realizes, I'm sick of this, and she's watching the spectacle in front of her, so she's just tired. She just drops the apple, and it just kind of rolls down, at the feet of whence it came, and it just kind of splits open. And to me, that's a symbol of kind of duality, of being caught up in the left-right, in the Christian, Muslim, male, female, always fighting, always
clash of civilizations, controlled.
Right.
Clash, chaos.
And spinning in our minds, in our minds, that's the duality. And then the checkerboard is also representing duality, the black and white. And then there's also a symbol of a 0 and a 1, and that's the binary system, so duality. And then the flower comes out, and the flower joins the two halves, and it comes out, and that's a symbol to me of unifying those two polar opposites.
Lefebvre explains that the apple symbolizes engineered divisions, like left versus right, culture against culture. When the girl drops the apple, it splits on the checkered floor. From within, a lotus flower sprouts, unifying the opposing halves. This terrifies the figure on stage, showing that when humanity steps past forced division, control systems lose power.
A boat, which is actually Anubis is a Greek god, but based off of an earlier Egyptian god called Anapa. And this is a deity that is guarding the gates of the underworld, and he weighs the souls of men and their hearts to and protects the souls of men as they travel through the underworld. And so I think it's a fitting image, but as I told you, I put the Christ figure in the center of the narrative, I think, to redress some of those. Well, that's the main theme of the movie is basically the crumbling of the hierarchical world and the awakening of the hearts of men, standing alone in their relationship to God without having any sort of intermediaries. And so the hearts of men awaken, and the world serving those hearts instead of trying to dominate them, instead of trying to control and oppress. And so the crumbling pyramid at the end is a just the crumbling of the hierarchical structure and this oppressive type of hierarchical structure. Obviously, there's always going to be some sort of hierarchy in organizations, but it won't be this manipulation, domination type of hierarchy. And you'll notice that the character is in a boat, the Christ character, and he just kind of sails through the scene, and he's witnessing, and he's actually not creating this. He's not destroying the pyramids. It's the sun that destroys the pyramids. The sun in the movie is representative of the divine, the source, the God, it doesn't mean I'm a sun worshiper. I'm not trying to promote sun worship.
In the climax, as the ancient pyramid crumbles, notice that the Christ figure doesn't attack or destroy it. Lefebvre clarifies that it is the sun, representing divine source energy, that dissolves the pyramid. The crumbling hierarchy isn't an apocalyptic end-time scenario, but the natural disintegration of oppression when exposed to higher awareness. Was I Pet Goat 2 a dark warning or an invitation to awaken? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more deep dive analyses.